Have you ever stopped to think if the government's idea of a job actually lines up with the world we live in today? Well, we're about to dive into a hidden conflict, where a rulebook that's almost 50 years old is clashing with our modern high-tech economy. And it's creating these things called ghost jobs, and they have some very, very real consequences.
So, let's kick things off with a perfect example. This is the official government description for a job called the marker. It's all about manually sticking price tickets on stuff, pinning, stapling, gluing them on. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But here's the kicker, and you can see it right there at the bottom. This job description hasn't been updated since 1977.
And that really is the million-dollar question we're trying to answer. It's 2026. Does this job actually exist anymore? Are people really being hired to do this, or is the marker just a ghost in the machine?
Now, you might be wondering, why does this even matter? Well, this isn't just some dusty old definition. This nearly 50-year-old job description is being used today, right now, in high-stakes Social Security disability hearings. So the answer to whether this ghost job is real can literally change the course of someone's life.
Okay, to solve this mystery, let's look at our first major piece of evidence. It's a powerful food safety law that has quietly but completely transformed the American supply chain.
It's called the Food Safety Modernization Act, or FSMA for short. Now, it's been rolling out for a while, but the most important date for our investigation is January 20th, 2026. That's the final deadline for something called Rule 204, and trust me, it is an absolute game changer.
So here's the core of it. The law says that all the important tracking data, lot codes, harvest dates, all that stuff, has to be created and applied digitally right at the source, at the farm or the factory, not in the back room of a grocery store. It's like every product is now born with its own digital passport, which basically makes the old school job of hand tagging something totally obsolete from a legal point of view.
And we're not talking about some obscure category of food here. Just look at this list. This covers a huge chunk of what you see in the grocery store every day. Leafy greens, fresh-cut fruit, eggs, nut butters, soft cheeses, seafood, all those deli salads. I mean, this is the stuff that fills up our shopping carts.
So yeah, this isn't just some minor regulatory tweak. The analysis we're drawing from literally calls it the final nail in the coffin for that old-school marker job. It's no exaggeration to say this law makes the 1977 version of this job legally impossible across the entire food industry.
Okay, so that's the law. But what does this look like in the real world? Let's take a look at America's largest employer, Walmart. I mean, if the marker is truly a ghost, we should be able to see its absence on their store floors, right?
Now, get this. A whopping 60% of Walmart sales in the U.S. come from groceries. 60%. So that food safety law we just talked about, it doesn't just apply to a little corner of the store. It dictates how the vast majority of everything Walmart sells is tracked and handled.
And this slide really nails the difference. Back in 1977, the tool for the job was a price gun. Today at Walmart, employees are using a system called VizPick. They're putting on augmented reality headsets and interacting with the product's digital twin. There is literally no room, no physical step, for someone to manually stick a price tag on a box in a system that advanced.
But what happens if a supplier messes up? What if a box shows up that isn't properly marked for this new digital system? Well, Walmart doesn't go hire a marker to fix it. Nope, they just follow the money.
Walmart's solution is brutally efficient. They find the suppliers. If a product shows up with the wrong label or a missing barcode, bam! The supplier gets hit with a $200 administrative fee plus $1 for every single case. The math for that supplier is pretty simple. It's way, way cheaper to automate and get it right than to keep paying those penalties.
And just to put a number on it, a single pallet, just one, with 200 mislabeled cases will cost that supplier $400. This is all the proof you need that the responsibility has totally shifted. This work isn't a retail job anymore. It's an automated industrial process. Because the financial risk of manual errors is just too high. The job has been fined out of existence at the store level.
But all this technology has another effect, one that's a little less obvious. It's quietly rewriting the definition of what an unskilled job even is.
You see, the government has this scale called Specific Vocational Preparation, or SVP. An SVP2 job is officially unskilled. You can learn it with a quick demo in under a month. An SVP3 job is semi-skilled and takes a bit longer, up to 3 months. Just keep those two levels in your head for a second. So let's go back to our ghost, the marker. In 1977, it was a classic no-brainer SVP2 unskilled job. But the person doing that kind of work today has to use an AR scanner and understand digital logic.
That is not an unskilled job anymore. And it's not just the marker. Look at these other classic unskilled jobs, the router, the office helper. The tech they have to use now has caused this skill creep, pushing them all into that semi-skilled SVP3 category.
So what we're seeing is that the marker isn't just one lonely ghost haunting the system. It's actually a symptom of a much, much bigger problem. And here it is. This is the heart of the issue. That government manual of jobs we've been talking about, the one used in those critical hearings, over 80% of the job descriptions in it haven't been touched since 1977. We're making life-altering decisions using a rulebook from the disco era to measure work in the age of AI.
And that really leaves us with one final crucial question. We live in an economy that runs on augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and global digital supply chains. So if our official descriptions of work are half a century out of date, how can we possibly claim to be accurately measuring the reality of work today?